I am so excited to be here with the Mr. Alfonzo Alexander. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I hope you are.
I am. So this is an interview. As you know, I met you at the National Black MBA
Yes,
Association conference, and you were incredible. And the work I'm doing is called the Living Powerfully Experience,
I love it.
right? And it's also this concept of the Better Together Empowerment Series. And so those words align with everything you're doing. So can you just tell us a little bit about who you are and just what does living powerfully mean to you?
Sure. Well, as mentioned earlier, my name is Alfonzo Alexander, and I really am described by a lot of people as a serial entrepreneur. So I've done several things from an entrepreneurial standpoint. Most of the time, though, actually, while still working in a corporate
Mm.
environment as well. I, I learned in a sermon several years ago,
Mhm.
probably 25 years ago, that the Garden of Eden had three rivers flowing through it.
Mm.
And the pastor made an analogy that essentially said we should have three sources of income, feeding,
Mm.
just like the rivers fed the Garden of Eden. We should be feeding our lives with three sources of income. And so from that point on, I said, it's a great thing for me to
Yes.
uh, have a corporate entity that I'm involved with and connected with from an employment standpoint, but then also
Mm.
be this entrepreneur because I'd already been doing it, but I didn't just know and understand how that maybe connected spiritually. So
Mm.
people refer to me as a serial entrepreneur. In that endeavor, I have run multiple companies,
Mhm.
started several companies. Some of them we've taken to a great exit. Some of them we're still involved
Mhm.
with. And I believe in the philosophy that people say, and there's probably some evidence that proves this, that, only one out of every 10 businesses are successful. So
Mm.
my approach is let's get these first nine out of the way so we can go ahead and have a successful business. But I primarily do strategy, leadership development, executive development through my business, the Alexander Success Group.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Part of the work we've done as a part of this living powerfully experience is, these interviews. It's like having conversations with people who are truly living powerfully. When you hear the term living powerfully, define that. What does that mean to you?
I think that is so interesting, living
Hmm.
powerfully.
Yes.
In my opinion, the best way that we can live powerfully
Hmm.
is if we're living within our purpose.
Mm.
And so we all, in my belief, we all were put here with a purpose in
Yes.
mind. We were created for a reason.
Hmm.
And one of the greatest things that we can do as human beings is understand what that purpose is and
Yes.
find our purpose. So once we find our purpose and then we start to act and live within that
Hmm.
purpose, there's power that's a supernatural power that comes
Mm.
along with everything that we're doing that we may not even be aware of.
Yes.
I would say that there are some unique talents that you have, some unique talents that all of us have that we don't understand why we're just so good at this.
Right.
Well, it's because those talents are in alignment with our purpose. And
Mm.
if we work and operate within that purpose consistently, then we have the power that we need, in essence,
Mm.
living powerfully.
Mm. Don't you love that? I have a small audience in the room, but we're all smiling over here like, ooh, that is so good. I love it. Now, the other initiative that's aligned with the Living Powerfully experience, because
Mhm.
living powerfully, it is an experience. And what
Sure.
we bring into the world is really how people can experience what you just said, living on
Sure.
purpose, really being their best,
Yeah.
minimizing the things that hold them back and kind of leaning into their superpowers, right?
Sure.
Their
Sure.
strengths and their powers. So what advice would you share with someone who's like, "Ooh, that sounds good, but I don't think I'm living powerfully, but I want to." Like, what advice would you share with someone about why they should invest in themselves or in their organization to live powerfully? Why is it an
Sure.
investment? Why do we have to be a little bit more intentional than just saying the thing?
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And part of it, I think, is you
Hmm.
first need to understand we're talking about living powerfully, not perfectly.
Oh, see.
So if we get caught up into trying to live perfectly, then that could be problematic.
Wow.
But living powerfully, as we just said,
Hmm.
is living and walking within purpose.
Yes.
So why invest in that? understand you do have a superpower that's connected with your purpose, or superpowers that are connected with your purpose. So seek and understand what it is that you believe is the reason that you're here. So, for example, I know that my purpose is to help others identify and create success for themselves. Not how I identified or define it, but how you would define success and what that looks like for you. I can help you get to that, and I can help put you on a track for success in that space, right? And so if you're interested in living powerfully, the greatest thing that you can do is try and identify and understand what your purpose is. And as you do that, then start to build around those key talents that you have that you don't understand why you're so great at it, but build upon those and develop other strengths that are connected with that. So now you round out who you are as a successful individual, and you start to live powerfully.
That is so good. That is so good. I love it. Yes, yes, and talk a little bit about the Better Together. It's the language that I use. I call it the Better Together Empowerment Series. As you know, you work with universities as well. And most universities use some type of cohort model because it's been scientifically proven that you're 500% more likely to complete any task when you do it in community, right? In the cohort and group model.
Yeah.
So Better Together. Talk a little bit about just this concept of not just doing the thing, but doing it in community. Why do you think it's better for us to do this type of work, whether it's improvement of yourself, improvement of a group, right? Moving things in community. Why is it better that we do this work together? Why is it always better together?
I think it's always better together simply because we have blinders. So there are certain things that we don't recognize about ourselves, good, bad, or indifferent, that could prohibit us from achieving the ultimate level of success that we are designed to achieve. And so there's this synergy that comes when you work with others and you create community. And through this synergy, there's an opportunity for iron to sharpen iron, for us to have sounding boards with people that care about us, and we're invested in them, they're invested in us, to be able to help us improve. And if we have a shared common goal, then the sky is the limit in terms of how effective we can be at reaching those common goals. And so that's why I think teams and cohorts work better, because each member of the team or each individual involved brings their own set of talents. And then when you figure out how to work synergistically so that you can utilize those talents, then it creates opportunities for you to achieve. And everybody rises versus one rising to a limited level while others still remain where they were. We work together, we can all rise together if we're committed to that.
I love it so much. Thank you so much. You're just smooth with it.
I'm just trying to keep it real. You know, I've been fortunate to have some great opportunities, some great successes, some disappointing failures, and all of those to me are learning experiences. You know, one of my favorite quotes is one by Nelson Mandela, and I've got a T-shirt that actually says it. It says, "I never lose, I only win or learn." And so that's what I'm telling and sharing with you guys today is my learning experiences from both the wins and the learning experiences that some might call losses, but I don't consider them losses.
That is so good. That is so good. So let's talk a little bit about the learning. The learning. What happens when people have tried? So we're always 3, 4, 5 months, even after the new year, and then throughout the year, I say things like, let's resurrect those resolutions, right? People start a new year, they're like, I'm gonna do this thing. Well, every day is the opportunity to do whatever that thing is that you say you want to do, to really fulfill the life that you know is yours. Talk a little bit about why it's so important that we invest regularly on investing in ourselves, but also resurrecting those resolutions, committing to, like, this time, this day, I'm going to actually be intentional. Tell me about successes that you've seen, even through failure.
Sure.
Great what others might call failure.
Absolutely. So, great question. So, for example, we're in Seattle.
Yes.
right? Beautiful Seattle, beautiful mountains in the backdrop. I can see just a picturesque scene right now as I look out the window. And I think about that question in terms of a mountain, right? Or mountains. And so life for me is a series of peaks and valleys. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm going down. But every time, if I think about climbing this mountain and what it takes to get to the top of that mountain, that's when I'm growing. I'm growing as I'm going up. I'm learning how to get out of a rut. I'm learning how to get out of a valley in my life. So I'm going up. And then when I hit this peak, I'm not typically going to stay there very long because either some adversity or new opportunity, something is going to come to cause me to grow more. And I learn more as I'm working my way back up again. And so the key is to be trending upwards. So if I'm up and then way down and then up a little bit, way down more, I'm trending downwards. But if I go up, then have a setback and then go up higher. As long as I'm trending upwards, what I'm doing is I'm growing.
Yes.
I'm better on the backside and I can be a better help to you and others that are in my network because we can learn from my opportunities and challenges just as I can from yours.
That is so good. That is excellent. Thank you. So we also talked a little bit about, again, when you think about the Better Together Empowerment Series, right? We talk about getting better,
right?
Getting healthier, getting happier, getting wealthier, and getting wiser. Can we talk about each of those four things? Just kind of,
absolutely.
Said, let's talk about getting healthier first. When I first met you, he was on stage, I had on a tight suit. I was like, okay.
Not tight,
custom. It was custom. Sorry, custom fitting. But his little biceps was popping out. I was like, okay. And then I was like, okay, so then that means he's focused on health.
Absolutely.
Right? There's some value that comes with you saying, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna show up in excellence. And by the way, I work out.
Absolutely.
Tell us a little bit about what getting healthier looks like to you and why is that so important?
It's extremely important to me because I read a piece of scripture once that said a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So that means not just leaving something for my children, but for my grandchildren.
Wow.
And now I'm thinking, okay, well, if I have to leave something to be a wise man, if I have to leave something for my children's children, then I need to make sure I'm around to help make an impact on those children and their children so that whatever I'm leaving can be administered, can be managed appropriately, right? So thought about that. A few years ago, I went on this mission to become healthier. And as a part of that mission, I acknowledged some challenges with my diet. I changed what I ate, tried to be one that ate more fruits and vegetables than other things, tried to limit carbs, all these different things that we hear work. And at the same time, I began an exercise regimen. And now I get up every morning that I'm able to. And the reason I say I may not be able, sometimes I travel early morning. And if I travel early morning and can't go to the gym prior to my flight, then I'll try to get it in the afternoon. But the key is I try and make sure that I go and get physical exercise every morning as a part of my morning routine.
I love it.
Because if I don't do that, then one, I'm harming myself by not making these improvements. And then now, not only does it impact me physically, it impacts me mentally. I don't feel settled throughout my day if I don't get a workout in. And there's sometimes even where I may go to the gym and only be in the gym physically 15 minutes. But I've got to go get that 15 minutes in because I need it, one, again, for the physical health, but then secondly, because I need it to center and help focus me on my day mentally. So I try and do an hour every day that I can, 6 days a week. And it means a lot to me to be healthier because I also want to make sure that I'm as fresh and as sharp as I can. And the physical exercise helps with that. And again, the diet is critical too.
I love it. I love it. So getting healthier. Again, a lot of people, New Year's come along, they struggle, but they say this is not, I'm about to do it. This is my year. This is my year. So if every day is an opportunity to remake yourself, what advice would you share with someone who you just shared your story? It's beautiful. Testimony, living testimony. We like our living testimonies. But what advice would you share with someone who's been struggling to put
Sure.
themselves first?
So don't beat yourself up if you didn't make it yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, when you wake up, is a new opportunity.
Nice.
Take advantage of that new opportunity. And it doesn't matter. Like a lot of people say, well, I'm going to start back on Monday. Why? If tomorrow's Thursday, go ahead and start on Thursday. There's no magic about starting on Monday. In fact, I would say the days of the week are some things that humans created as a part of a systematic program for us to do work. So start whatever day is the next day and go ahead and forgive yourself if you missed the day before.
Yes.
Keep it moving.
I love that. I love that so much. Thank you for that. So now let's talk about getting healthier, getting happy. What makes you happy?
And there's several things that make me happy. One of them, though, is seeing if I serve someone, seeing how that benefits them. So you and I met at a conference, right?
Yes.
I was one of the presenters. And what made me happiest that week was when individuals reached out to me afterwards and said, hey, thank you so much. You shared these three things and they resonated with me. Can we stay in touch? That makes me happy because that lets me know that I'm making an impact. And remember,
I love that.
Remember, my purpose is to help others identify and achieve success. So when I get that kind of feedback, I know I'm walking within my purpose, and that makes me happy. Other things that make me happy is being with friends and having fun, being with family and having fun and laughing. Laughing. I believe that friendship is essential to the soul, and laughter helps build my heart.
I love it. That is so beautiful. I love it. So, mental health is something that I think we've talked a lot about in just general society, but in the Black community, in particular, I think it's so important that we focus on mental health. Getting happier is a thing that people don't like. It's a people talk about trauma, shared trauma, community trauma, things happen and happen to someone. It looks like you and you feel deeply impacted, right? Talk a little bit about the importance of us investing in ourselves as it relates to mental well-being. And what do you do? Like, you meditate, you talk about visualization and pausing and all of those things. What do you do?
No, it's great. I think it's extremely important for us to focus on mental health. Particularly now in our community, we're seeing so many things that we recognize are challenges with from a mental health standpoint that maybe weren't addressed earlier in previous generations. But now we have access to information and resources, so we should be able to do something about it. I'll tell you, one of the greatest things for me is I have a group of friends, all very successful African-American men. We're on a group text. I hate group text because at any point in time, like just now, somebody texts me in the group text, right? Or they text in the group text and it can interrupt. But that has been a great support for us from a mental health standpoint because we check on each other through that vehicle. And if somebody either doesn't respond or they don't sound right and it doesn't feel right with the text, then we reach out. That all came from a few years ago, one of our very good friends committed suicide.
Wow.
Very successful. Great success from a career standpoint, great success financially, and just wasn't happy. And we didn't all recognize it until afterwards. We saw signs, but we really didn't. So now we're intentional about checking on each other.
That's beautiful.
And I would say mental health is so important. I believe that it makes sense for us every 2 or 3 years to go talk to a counselor. Because if you think about it, that is the one time you can go talk to somebody and the whole focus is on you. And you are the center of that conversation. You get a sounding board, you get advice, and I would say set it up. If you have EAP at your
I was
company,
just
it's
gonna
free.
say, don't
Take
wait,
advantage of it.
don't wait.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's important, even when you think you're uh, wherever you are in life. I think having that person, building that relationship is a beautiful thing. So I love
yeah,
that. Thank you for that. And thank
sure.
you for sharing about the
Yeah.
yeah, the suicide. I had someone when I was working. My background is 20 years in the corporate space. I had a young girl come into my office in one of these corporate roles, and I was always active in the DRG and the employee research group. She came in my office and she wanted to commit suicide because she was being sent home. And I
Mm,
was like, she's like, I know you always show up in community. Um, you know, I was the one. Like her family put all their faith into her. They thought,
mhm.
and I was like, girl, you didn't fail. We failed you. Like she came into this space as a marketing manager and they put her in a sales role,
Yeah,
right? And she wasn't successful. That wasn't what she
sure,
was meant to do. And I was
sure.
like, we failed you. And I said, let's call your mama.
Mhm.
Cause and we did. And we
Right,
ended up laughing before it was over. We were laughing and joking because she knew that it wasn't about her, right? It
right.
wasn't about her. It wasn't her failure. It was really our failure. So talk about the youth real quick. Like, they don't even know, right, what they don't know,
Right.
right? They come into a space thinking that it's, everything is going to be, roses. But oftentimes, things don't work out. What would you say to a young person who was struggling right now and feeling like they needed that they didn't, or anyone who
Mhm.
felt like that they were struggling and didn't have anyone?
I would say find somebody in your life that you believe will be a listening ear, and they will listen because they care about you.
Mm,
There are people you may not
mm,
think that they exist, but there are people in your life that care about you. And
mm,
then talk to them and just say, "Hey, here's something that's going on." Make sure you get their attention. Say, "I really want to talk with you about something important. Can we talk?" And make sure that you get their attention and ask questions.
mm,
Ask them, tell them how you feel, and ask them what they think about that.
mm,
And I would say for young people, especially young professionals,
mm,
don't underestimate the value of a mentor and a
mm.
sponsor.
Yes.
I tell people all the time, watch people who are doing things successfully
Mm-hmm.
that you would like to do in
Mm-hmm.
your career or in your life. Watch them for a little while. Make sure they're doing things that you believe are the ethical way to
Mm-hmm.
do them. And then ask them if they would consider mentoring you.
Mm-hmm.
9 times out of 10, they're so flattered that you ask, they will say
Mm-hmm.
yes. And establish and build a relationship with somebody who is already where you want to be.
That is so beautiful. Ask. Don't be afraid to ask for
Yeah.
help. I love that. I
Yeah.
love it. So let's talk about, we talked about getting better together. You
Hmm.
said getting healthier, getting happier.
Hmm.
You are on stage. The next one is getting healthier, getting happier, getting wealthier,
Hmm.
and getting wiser. So we're going to talk about getting wealthier now.
Okay.
I'm working on that. I'm quite happy. I'm a happiness coach, right? I'm focused on health. I lost 35 pounds just being more intentional, but I'm working on the
Congratulations.
wealthier part. I'm working on that. So talk a little bit about tips, insights that you would share for people who are on a journey to get wealthier. What does that mean to you?
Yeah. So, first thing I would say, regardless of where you are in your life, especially if you're younger,
Mm-hmm.
save,
Mm-hmm.
save some money. Because when you save some money, you have the opportunity to open up and create access for additional money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where wealth is created, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, oftentimes, especially as you mature and get further along in your career and
Mm-hmm.
life, you will run into opportunities potentially where you can invest in something.
Mm-hmm.
If you have some money that you can bring over and invest in that,
Mm-hmm.
then it could help create significant opportunities for you. If you have not saved and you don't have it, then there could be challenges.
Right.
So I heard somebody recently talk about, this was a financial expert talking about how every quarter,
Mm-hmm.
many people who are gainfully employed
Mm-hmm.
in our community
Yes.
will go to one of these fancy designer stores and drop 3,000,
Mm-hmm.
4,000, whatever that number is,
Mm-hmm.
on some kind of design or something.
Mm-hmm.
And if they just decided, you know what, for a year or two
Mm-hmm.
years even, I'm not going to do that. And that $3,000 or $4,000 that they
Mm-hmm.
drop every quarter
Wow.
was used from an investment standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
whether that could be put up for
Mm-hmm.
a year or put up for 2 years and use to invest in your own business,
Mm-hmm.
now you have startup money.
Yes.
Or somebody comes to you with an opportunity to invest in
Mm-hmm.
something. Now you have money that you can invest.
Right.
And then once you hit a certain level, you can go buy 10 of those items a quarter if
Right,
you
right,
want, or you can continue to parlay that into more. So first thing I would say is save. The second
right.
is look for opportunities to have your money work for you
Mm-hmm.
through investments. And I like alternative investments that give you an
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to invest in young startup businesses or other things other
Yes.
than just your 401k at work. You
Mm-hmm.
need that, but it's an opportunity, in my opinion, for us all to put our money at levels.
Mm-hmm.
401k is a level, but
Mm-hmm.
that's the level where you have it for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
But there are other levels before that. So you should have some money in a level where you can get access to it before retirement
Mm-hmm.
without penalty, but it still takes a little bit for you to do. You may
Yes.
have to complete a document and get something signed off
Yes.
on to access your own money, but it's protected at that level. Then you have some that's very liquid that you can just
Mm-hmm.
go to the bank and go get it and set goals for how much money you want at each of those three levels.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me how you can become wealthier. The other thing is, as I mentioned, one of my beliefs is having multiple sources of income.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked in a corporate entity for many, many years,
Yes.
or entities for
Mm-hmm.
many, many years. But at the same time, I had gigs or side
Mm-hmm.
businesses that soon brought me more revenue
Mm-hmm.
than my corporate work. And I just made it my
Mm-hmm.
my I guess philosophy to continue to do all of these things until one just got so large that I
Right.
just could not do the other anymore. And
Yes.
that's where I am today.
Wow. That is so powerful. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back and talk about getting wiser. So we're talking here with Alfonzo Alexander, the Living Powerfully Experience, and getting healthier, getting happier, getting wealthier, and getting wiser. Stay with us. Thanks.